Hello everybody, it's Foo here, and I'm back after a brief hiatus for moving house to bring you this awesome, epic meme that I can't wait to show you. I am stanning a new queen. This is so exciting. I hope you will forgive me for using the #1 most used Pokemon in this entire format by quite a way, because I am bringing you the majesty that is choice-banded Tapu Fini, of course, and I can't wait to show you this. Before we get into the battles, if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel for more content, and also maybe ring the bell while you're there because I don't upload on a super regular basis, so make sure you don't miss any uploads with that. But let's get straight into a battle to show you why this godlike creature is so good. So my opponent's going to lead off with Landorus and Lurantis, the L team, I guess, and I'm going to lead with my Tornadus and my Tapu Fini, I guess the T team. And yeah, I'm going to set up my Misty Surge. This is a pretty fun dual team. My opponent has some really fun Pokemon as well, actually. You really don't see these two used much at all. They're going to switch out the Lurantis, presumably predicting like a flying type move into that slot, maybe thinking I was going to go for some max airstreams or something, but they had their eyes on the wrong threat right here, for sure. So I'm going to Dynamax my Tapu Fini because, you know, Tapu Fini is a powerhouse and you really need to respect it. And right now, my opponent is not doing such a thing. So we get our beautiful Dynamax Tapu Fini, and we're just going to go for a Tailwind with Tornadus because really, what else do you click? Turn 1 with Tornadus. There is no other option. And yeah, we just get the Tailwind off, which allows us to outspeed the Landorus and go for a max Hailstorm right into its face to take it out, which is pretty fantastic. So that's a one-shot on the Landorus. They didn't Dynamax or anything like that. I think that would have been a bit strange. It's a critical hit, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's 4 times effective, and this is a very powerful Tapu Fini, I'll have you know. And yeah, so that's pretty great. My opponent has their Tyranitar in, but we've changed the weather already. So, I mean, that's pretty great. They don't have their sand going for them. Not that it matters, because we're not a special attacker. We're a physical attacker. But they don't know this. They do not know that my Tapu Fini is not like other girls. So they bring in the Lurantis again, which does threaten my Tapu Fini a little bit. I wasn't sure which of their Pokemon might Dynamax. It turns out to be the Tyranitar, which doesn't really scare me. It can't put in too much damage on my Tapu Fini as long as I try to avoid activating a weakness policy. It's really not too much of a threat. As you can see here, the tech, the amazing, brilliant Swagger, which allows me to boost my attack by 2 stages and not confuse me because of the misty terrain. And that allows me to one-shot this Lurantis with a +2 max Hailstorm. So that's pretty great. I'm not sure if the opponent would have seen that coming. Maybe Lurantis with like Assault Vest or something. But yeah, it's not going to take that hit at all. As the Tyranitar goes for a max Quake, maybe hoping to get some extra special defense, not realizing that my Tapu Fini isn't like other girls. But yeah, that's not the right play. They should have maybe tried for a Rockfall just to get a bit more damage. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if Rockfall would have been 2-hit KO though, so that's pretty cool. Now they bring in their Cinderace, as I can go for another Swagger, get me +4 attack, and again, protect myself. And I can just go for a max Geyser here, because that's great. I mean, it'll take out the Cinderace, and it will allow me to set up the rain for more powerful waterfalls once Dynamax is over. I'm pretty sure even if they had Protect on that Cinderace, it was probably a goner. So that's pretty neat, as we are going to eat an attack from the Tyranitar here. They actually do opt for Rockfall, so that is going to change the weather out of rain right now. And it's going to destroy my Tornadus completely. That's fine. I mean, it's fine. They've still got a turn of Dynamax, but I'm really not concerned because I've still got 2 turns of Tailwind. I've still got a +4 attack, choice-banded Tapu Fini, and now that it's losing its Dynamax, it's going to be hitting pretty much just as hard as a Dynamax Pokemon anyway, because it does have that choice band. So I can go for a Waterfall on this following turn to see how much damage we're doing to this Dynamax Tyranitar. We've avoided like all of the traps that it's laid out. I'm really not sure if they realize I'm physical yet. I mean, obviously I'm just going to one-shot the Tyranitar with a +4 choice-banded Waterfall. But yeah, the Swagger plays there, really just way too much for my opponent. They couldn't deal with the power that is Tapu Fini. So that was the first battle. I want to show you a few more battles with this, and maybe one against a more conventional team, because though they had some conventional Pokemon there, they had a lot of cool stuff too. So let's get into a second battle with a much more scary conventional team. So this opponent is leading with Clefable and Moltres. Moltres is so cool. It's probably my favorite new Pokemon, but it's super threatening. In this situation, we really need to deal with the Clefable's capacity to follow me, and that would redirect away my Swaggers, so I don't want that happening. So anyway, first turn, obviously, Dynamax Moltres. What else are you going to see? Turn 1. Dynamax Moltres is coming out. That's also a reason why I didn't prioritize Tailwind, because after 2 max Airstreams, Moltres would probably outspeed my Tapu Fini. I'm max speed, but I'm adamant, and Moltres has higher base speed. So yeah, I didn't prioritize the Tailwind. So I just am going to Dynamax my Tapu Fini here, because I want to start like doing some damage. But also I want to make sure that I don't take too much damage from like my max Airstreams from that Moltres. Also, that's very brazen of them, just like Dynamaxing in front of a Fairy type. Do they not know? Obviously they don't know. I mean, against a special Tapu Fini, that's probably a perfectly reasonable play. Anyway, we're going to go for a Taunt on this first turn with Tornadus. That will prevent the Clefable from redirecting away Swaggers. It'll allow me to target who I want, and it's pretty great. The Moltres does go for the Airstream, but thanks to this beautiful Tornadus EV spread, it's not going to be a 2-hit KO, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it means that I just get a free Steel Spike into Clefable, because Tapu Fini learns Smart Strike, which is pretty cool, and it allows you to get defense boosts. Because this Tapu Fini has like no bulk investment, Max Steel Spike allows you to get some of that bulk that Tapu Fini is known for, so that's pretty good. On the turn 2, my opponent switches out Clefable, presumably wanting to get rid of that Taunt, into Nihilego, which does threaten Tapu Fini. But right now, I'm just going to go for a Swagger into Tapu Fini, get my +2 attack. My Tornadus is going to survive a Max Darkness, although the special defense drops could be a bit hairy next turn. But yeah, they completely aren't respecting Tapu Fini at all. At +2 attack, my Max Starfall is going to hit into this Moltres and just demolish it. It's a one-shot. Oh my god, that's so satisfying. So yeah, if I was especially attacking Tapu Fini, there's no way that I would be able to one-shot a Moltres. Its special defense is way higher than its physical defense, but because I'm physical and I can get the Swagger boosts, that was an easy one-shot, and we're in a fantastic position now. What's also great is that my Tornadus survives, so now I can go for a Tailwind, and that will allow Tapu Fini to outspeed the Nihilego, which would otherwise have done a ton of damage with my -1 special defense and their poison type moves being super effective. But yeah, we can just take that out with a Max Geyser, so that just drops. Obviously, it's got very low physical defense. I'm at +2 attack, so yeah, we can destroy that Nihilego. And this Tornadus, though it dropped my... Oh yeah, Landorus, sorry, dropped my attack. So I was only a +1 attack, but still, by far, way more than I needed to take out the Nihilego. So yeah, my Tornadus goes down. Now I'm bringing in the Venusaur. Clefable comes back in, and Venusaur outspeeds my Tapu Fini. So I brought it in so I could take the Clefable out with the Sludge Bomb, and I wouldn't have to worry about redirection for my Waterfall into the Landorus. Choice Banded Waterfall at +1 attack is definitely going to be able to take out a Landorus here. So that was a bit more of a conventional team, showing you how I can easily deal with Moltres. Even with redirection, we can try to work around that. So that was a pretty cool match. I really enjoyed that one. You don't get to see Moltres getting one-shotted too often, but that's one way you can do it. So yeah, that was a pretty fun one. And I thought I'd bring you one more just to show you a very different matchup. So this one is against a Glastrier and a Pheromosa. Pheromosa and Glastrier are known for like speed swap strategies. I'm not too threatened with my Tapu Fini in here, because Tapu Fini doesn't take much damage from either of them. But Landorus is kind of threatened, because Max Hailstorm will like one-shot it, and Hail will definitely take it out. I'm Focus Sash. I'm like a bulky set with Focus Sash. I'm still not sure if that's like optimum, or whether I should run healing berry, but I'm quite enjoying Focus Sash just because of the assurance it provides while still being bulky so that I can do the stuff I need to do with Moltres, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to Dynamax turn 1, expecting Glastrier to do the same, maybe seeing the speed swap. I'm not sure what they want to do. I know that you can coaching with Pheromosa too, which is really cool support. Like, I think Pheromosa is such a cool Pokemon in this format. Really, really fun. But yeah, Glastrier is coming out. Very scary horse. Very, very scary horse. And I wanted to prioritize getting the Swagger off because otherwise Tapu Fini just won't have the damage output it needs against such a bulky Pokemon. So yeah, I go for the Swagger as my opponent U-turns here, which is a real shame because my Swagger went before U-turn. So they've now seen that I'm giving my Tapu Fini attack boosts, and that allows them to make the decision to go into Incineroar, dropping my attack. So I didn't catch them by surprise as much here because they got to see my Swagger before they reacted to it, which is a bit of a shame. I go for Steel Spike and I was targeting the Tapu Fini, goes into Incineroar. It still does quite a bit of damage, I think. For a non-stab max Steel Spike against a resistance with Incineroar, I thought that did quite a bit of damage at only +1 attack. But more importantly, it gives me a defense boost. So Tapu Fini is now getting a lot bulkier, which is very important. The Glastrier goes for the Hailstorm, as I thought it might, but the Sash is really nice here because it means that Glastrier doesn't get the Chilling Neigh. My Tornadus is going to go down due to the Hail, not due to the attack. So that's actually a really important point to note. I'm at +1 defense and they don't get their Chilling Neigh, which is not an awful position to be in, and I do still have a 1 attack boost. Now I go into Regieleki, and the reason for that is that I want to get a Reflect up. I really need to shore up my Tapu Fini's defenses. I thought that this would be the best way to do that, as I'm just going to go for a Max Geyser into the Incineroar. I want to get rid of it. I don't want it cycling Intimidates with Parting Shot, so I definitely need to get rid of that so Tapu Fini can maintain some semblance of a damage output. We'll see if that is true through the battle. So now we're down 3-3. But the Glastrier is going to go for Max Quake into Regieleki, and that's definitely going to take it out. Even behind the Reflect, it's going to take out Regieleki. So now we're down 3-2, and the Glastrier gets a special defense boost. Not that that's super relevant against my Tapu Fini, but you'll see it is relevant against my last Pokemon, which I'm going to bring in now, which is Torkoal. So I like Torkoal because it gives me like an option against Trick Room, and it gives me some stuff for like grass types that would otherwise threaten Tapu Fini. But it also brings the Sun, which reduces the power of my water type moves, which isn't great. So there's a bit of synergy issue there. But anyway, this time I'm going to go for a Protect, expecting the Glastrier to attack into my Torkoal. Pheromosa goes for Coaching, which is not great because it's boosting Glastrier's power, but also boosting its defense. And you can see here the super effective +1 attack Steel Spike does nothing to Glastrier. Very fortunately, it doesn't have the weakness policy. Otherwise, this game would have turned out very differently. It's probably Assault Vest since we haven't seen Life Orb either. The Max Quake comes out, does not very much to Torkoal actually. I gave it +1 defense, and behind the Protect it takes that pretty comfortably, which is very nice. And then after this turn, both of our Dynamaxes run out, so that's pretty okay. I mean, I now get my Choice Band boost, which is very helpful. And I go for, so the opponent goes for another Coaching. It's now +2 defense Glastrier. Oh god. But I do have the Choice Band, so I mean it mitigates that a little bit. And we're gonna go for a Play Rough into the horse. It does like nothing. Choice Band +1 attack Fini. Oh god, it's not enough. It's not enough. But fortunately, I get an attack drop, and Torkoal survives. I think Torkoal would have survived on like a tiny sliver if I didn't get the attack drop, but getting that attack drop is super helpful. It means that Torkoal isn't as flimsy, so I can go for a Protect here. I'm definitely expecting the speed swap on this turn because that will allow Glastrier to go before my Tapu Fini and get a massive hit off, maybe taking out the Torkoal before the end of the turn. And that's exactly what happens. So I protect with Torkoal, and they don't get their attack off into that, and I can take out the Glastrier there. So they didn't take me unawares. I saw that coming, and I can take out Glastrier. Now it just depends on their last Pokemon. What is it going to be? And it is going to be the Tapu Fini Bowl. Oh my god. No, 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 no. Tapu Fini against Tapu Fini. We get to see what is the best set. Is it going to be a more conventional set, or is it going to be the Choice Band set? I think I know the answer. So we're going to go for a Choice Band +1 attack, play rough into the Tapu Fini, and it does like 75%. That did so much damage, and they have a Healing Berry, but it's still going to be a 2-hit KO, which is so great. As I go for a Moonblast into my Tapu Fini, it does a lot of damage too, to be fair, but I'm outspeeding, which is great. You see the close combat doesn't even take out my Torkoal because of that defense boost I gave it with Steel Spike. So I get another Heat Wave off, which allows me to take out the Pheromosa. At that stage, I don't actually think it was necessary for Torkoal to survive, because I would have been able to take out the Fini the following turn, and there's no way that Pheromosa would have been able to take me out. But yeah, we see here, Choice Banded Tapu Fini is definitely the superior Fini, because it won that end game, so definitely superior. And yeah, that's the team. So I've got one more battle to show you, which is really cool and showcases kind of how the team works outside of just Banded Tapu Fini. But I really like this team. I think it's very fun. I think you can change it up a lot. As I said, with the Torkoal and the Venusaur, the Sun component, that's mainly there to deal with grass types and maybe to kind of ward them off so that they don't actually bring them in the first place, because without grass types, Tapu Fini just goes ham. But yeah, they could potentially be replaced. Like, one thing I thought of was that Kartana could be a good replacement for Venusaur, because it's a grass type, so it can take on like the water types and other Tapu Finis, for example, that you might otherwise struggle with your Tapu Fini. While also being a physical attacker, so that allows you to swagger into the Kartana if you want to. You could always try to run a physical Venusaur, which I had contemplated, but Venusaur doesn't get any physical poison type moves. What are you doing, Game Freak? That's not okay. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of the team. It's pretty fun, and you can try it out if you want. But let's get into this last battle, which is so epic and really, really fun. So my opponent is going to lead with their Ninetales and their Cresselia, looking like they want to get Screens and Trick Room, maybe, which wouldn't be fun at all. So anyway, with my Fini out here, I just want to maybe try to deny Light Clay Screens. That would be pretty horrible. So I'm going to go for a Tailwind and a Smart Strike, a banded Smart Strike into the Ninetales, as the opponent withdraws their Cresselia and goes into the Gastrodon, thinking that it's got a pretty good matchup against the Tapu Fini, which is fair enough. So yeah, I'm going for the banded Smart Strike into the Ninetales, as it does do a lot of damage. It takes it down to its sash. That's okay. It means they don't have a Light Clay, so if Aurora Veil goes up, it won't be there forever. They actually opt to go for a Blizzard, which is fine with me. I mean, it doesn't do very much damage to Tapu Fini, and Tornadus eats it as well. It really doesn't do much damage at all, since I've got so much special defense investment. So that's pretty okay with me. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch out into Venusaur, which really threatens the Gastrodon as I try to take out the Ninetales with an Air Slash. But my opponent's actually withdrawing again and switching back into their Cresselia. So a ton of switching already in this match. And yeah, I get the Air Slash off. It does a little sliver to the Cresselia. That's okay. And the Gastrodon goes for an Earth Power into Venusaur, which does a lot of damage. So that's looking like a relatively offensive Gastrodon. I definitely think they want to get up Trick Room this turn, and I kind of want to prevent that because I haven't brought Torkoal to this match. So this play, I'm going to switch out my Venusaur and switch into Urshifu. I thought it was a relatively safe switch because they're very likely to maybe go for a Psychic type move into that slot and either protect or switch out Gastrodon fearing grass type moves. So they switch out into Heatran. So much switching, oh my god! As we go for a Taunt into the Cresselia, hoping and praying it doesn't have Mental Herb, and it doesn't, so it can't use the Trick Room, which is great. Now we've seen all the opponent's Pokemon. They've got Crest, Heatran, Gastrodon, and a very low HP Ninetales. So now they have very little to threaten Urshifu at all. So I decide that it's time to pull the trigger. and I'm going to Dynamax my Urshifu as the opponent switches out their Heatran again into the Ninetales. I wanted to max Knuckle into the Heatran to get as much damage as possible, but them switching into the Ninetales is pretty good too, because what it allows me to do is take out that Ninetales, and that's the only Fairy type Pokemon they had that might be able to threaten my Urshifu. So I thought that was a pretty great play. So we've got Dynamax Urshifu here. And I'm also able to go for the Swagger with my Tornadus because the Misty Terrain is still up. And Game Freak had the foresight to allow you to hit your own Dark-type Pokemon with Prankster moves, which is really great. So Dark types are immune to Prankster-type moves unless they're being used by an ally, which is very good. And I get the Max Knuckle boost as well, so now my Urshifu is sitting at +3 attack in one turn. That's pretty nifty, and I'm definitely threatening my opponent's team. But the Cresselia is still sitting there, and that's because it has the tech. It has Moonblast. I was not expecting that. I thought it might have it, but didn't really think that that was something that they ran, but it kind of makes sense to take on the Urshifus. So that's a bit of a shame. I take a ton of damage, but I'm pretty sure that I should be able to take it out next turn with a Dark-type move as they bring out the Heatran. Now, I'm expecting them to probably Dynamax their Heatran. I don't really see why they would bring it out if they don't. But I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. And I'm not too concerned about the Heatran either. I've got Earth Power on my Venusaur, and I've got a Choice Banded Tapu Fini with Waterfall. So I'm pretty sure I can deal a decent amount of damage to this Heatran anyway. So I'm going to focus on taking down the Cresselia, because I'll really struggle with that if I don't take it out. And here, the Heatran actually goes for the Max Guard. Now, I was thinking the best play the opponent had there was actually to switch out their Cresselia and take me out with a Heatran, but that would be a risky play. So instead, I just get the G-Max 1 blow off against the Colbur Cresselia, but at +3 attack, it's just going to get obliterated. So that Cresselia is in pieces on the floor. And now my opponent only has their Gastrodon and Heatran left. So Heatran is already max guarded this turn. I'll be able to take it out with the Max Knuckle next turn. I've still got my Venusaur. Things are looking pretty darn good for me. So yeah, it couldn't have gone much better there. And yeah, you see the Gastrodon come out here. So what I'm thinking I might do is switch into my Tornadus. Switch the Fini out into Tornadus so that I can set up the Misty Surge again and maybe get some Swagger shenanigans off towards the end of the battle. And at that point, my opponent decides to throw their Switch across the room and disconnect, which was very satisfying because I guess that this is probably quite a rage-inducing team. It looks like a very noobish team, but that's just because it's got a really silly gimmick that actually can work sometimes. It's not as bad as it seems, and because it has that surprise factor, it can do okay on the ladder. So the last thing I just wanted to show you is if you're in a pretty dire situation, or just a situation where your Pokemon can't do very much damage, then you always have the cheeky Swagger play where Tornadus can Swagger a Dynamax opponent and confuse them. So in this situation, my opponent had the Duraludon. I was going to take out Whimsicott anyway with Electro Web, so there was no point me going for like an Air Slash into Duraludon. So I just went for the Swagger to see if I could maybe waste one of its Dynamax turns with the Confusion, and that's exactly what happens. Now, Confusion is like crappy and not nice, and yeah, I wouldn't advocate using it frequently or relying on it, and especially on this team when you've got Misty Surge, you pretty much can't do that. But in situations where they've removed your Misty Terrain, so you can't use your own Swagger tactics, then use Swagger against them. That's all I've got to say. So that's this team. It's very fun. Try it out, maybe optimize it. If you want to swap things out, I suggest trying that because there are definitely other Pokemon that could work on this. We stand Choice Band Tapu Fini. She is a goddess. That's going to be all from me. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe for more content. I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.